Interns and Associates, and welcome back to another episode of the Cubicle Podcast. I'm Charlie Armstrong, and today I'm bringing a guest on who is someone who truly embodies the idea that you don't have to fit into just one box. By day, Aleesha Ye works as a strategy manager at Girl Scouts of America, bringing years of experience in strategic planning, consulting, and business analysis from organizations like Girl Scouts and OC&C Strategy Consultants. A Princeton University graduate, okay, baddie, Ivy League, with a background in public and international affairs and cognitive science, she's built a career helping organizations make smarter, data-driven decisions and grow with a purpose, because we all gotta grow somehow, right? And this is how you do it. But beyond the corporate world, she also lives in a completely different creative life under her artist and stage name, London Long. That's how I first met you, Miss London Long. Yes. As an actress, model, and artist currently training in an acting conservatory, London is actively pursuing her passion for performance and storytelling while balancing the realities of a full-time career. Today, we're diving into the balance between ambition and artistry, navigating dual identities, taking creative risks, and what it really looks like to pursue your dreams while building a successful professional career. Because why not do it all, right? And you can balance both, especially if you can balance both, right?
Yes.
And then, so now, let's please welcome London Long, also known as Aleesha Ye. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm so happy to have you on today and being able to learn all about you and all about your background. It is truly a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh my God, literally same. And I just cannot wait to learn all about you and just everything that you've gotten into in your life. Let's start from the beginning. What's your origin story? So all the interns and associates know where you started from to how you are today.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, how far back do I go?
As far as you want.
I'm so when I was born, no, I'm kidding.
Why not?
Yeah, maybe general background. So I was born in China, actually, in a city called Chongqing, and I kind of grew up doing a lot of art-related things. So I grew up dancing, I grew up singing. My mom was a very artsy person, so she loved the arts, loved dance specifically. So she would, send me on dance classes and piano lessons and all of these things. And I think I've kind of developed this love for the arts ever since I was a little child. And then we moved to the US when I was 9 years old to the suburbs of Massachusetts. I always say I'm from Boston, which is technically not true.
Rumor has it.
Right, rumor has it. But yeah, and then I lived in Boston for a while until I went to college in New Jersey, in Princeton, where I majored in public policy and international relations, minor in cognitive science, and was kind of pursuing a very, typical path that was very much what my peers were doing, what my parents expected of me, of going to a good school, getting good grades and recruiting, getting a good full-time job, and going from making money and going from there. And I kind of did that for a while, but I always had this love for the arts burning underneath all of that. So that's how I'm here today. I'm trying to balance both, still doing the corporate path, but also having this side of me that's more artistic and my passion at the end of the day.
That's amazing. That's so cool that you're able to balance both. And it's both of your identities built into one person. I think that's so impressive, because I feel a lot of people struggle to find a balance for themselves regarding how to balance a professional career where, yeah, you can make money and it's still something that you probably enjoy, I'm sure, to a degree. But at the same time, though, your true passions of being creative, because it is really hard to really make it big and make money to get by being creative. So I think that's really smart that you're able to balance both.
Yeah.
And how is it to balance both? How do you manage it all?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I've had to make quite a few sacrifices, I would say, to balance it. You only have so many hours in a day, of course. But I work a 9 to 5 right now, and basically I try to reserve any time after 5 for my art endeavors. So typically I have classes, Wednesday evenings, and then on weekends I also have classes, and you do have to rehearse with your partner in class too, between every class. So, and again, after 5, I will rehearse with my acting partner. But yeah, I've had to make a lot of sacrifices. For example, being social. I've had to I love my friends and I love hanging out with them, including my boyfriend who I live with. I've just had to make a lot of sacrifices in terms of social events, I would say. And I have to sleep a lot too, because I need to be energized to do all of these things, or else I could not get through the day. So the thing that I've had to sacrifice is going on more social endeavors, which is sad because New York is such a fun city to be in and there's so many social things to do. But I've lived my social life. I did it in college. I did it the first few years of New York, and now I just feel I really want to pursue my dreams. things and put all of my energy into that. So it's crazy, but you can always do more, I think, than you think while balancing, health and all of that.
You are capable more than you probably think that you
Mm-hmm.
are, and I think
Yeah.
you're a prime example of that. And do you hope down the line you'll be able to attend more social events and social endeavors?
Yeah, I think so. I think right now I'm prioritizing the most important things. So like birthdays, I will never miss. If I'm in the city and it doesn't conflict with a shoot or class or something, like I will be there for my friends, like big events, like weddings and birthdays and all of that. Like I will be there. But I think the hope in the future is that I can make a living doing what I love, and hopefully that frees up sometimes. Right now, it feels like I'm juggling two jobs: one that I get paid and one that I pay a lot for. So money kind of just goes in like a one direction flow. Hopefully in the future at some point I'll be able to just have one thing that I love doing, and that will be a source of income and joy, in which case time will free up and I think I'll have more time for friends and family and to do things that I love to do. So
I love that. So for acting, so you're taking a lot of acting classes right now. What are your specific acting classes? Because I know you were saying you take them on both Wednesday and Saturday. What specific classes are they, and how do you like them?
Yeah, so I am enrolled. So there are a lot of acting techniques out there. There's like method acting where you literally like become the character. There's Meisner, which is what I'm in, which is all very moment to moment, based on impulse and what you only do what your partner makes you do. It's very truthful to that moment, and it's based on imaginary rather than using your own personal circumstances to feel something. So I'm part of specifically Meisner technique acting studio. And yeah, the school teaches specifically that technique and how to be present, how to speak your truth in the moment when you're with someone, how to be realistic, and how to follow your true emotions is a lot of what we learn. And yeah, so I'm wrapping up year 1 and I have one more year to go. We've been kind of going back and forth between just Meisner specific exercises and scenes. We actually haven't done that many scenes. I know acting classes, when you think acting classes, you think scenes, right? But we actually have not done a lot of them for good reason. And yeah, and then I go on to year 2 where we'll do more exercises, I think more scenes, and I absolutely love it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
No, that's so good that you're like genuinely doing something like you love, that you're like super passionate about, and that kind of fills your cup,
Yes.
and that
Yes.
helps you to kind of get out of like being stuck in this like corporate world and that whole like ooh sometimes like because it can feel, I'm sure it can feel like that to like
Yes.
to a huge level and huge degree. So no, I
Absolutely.
think that's amazing that you're able to do that. And I want to ask also as well regarding your classes, what specific skills do you think you've learned in them that you think you can apply like in the real
Oh
world?
my gosh. Yeah, so much. Honestly, I would recommend non-actors take classes just because I think like obviously I hope something will come of it, but even if nothing does, I just think I've grown so much as a person through it. I think like let's say like first practically speaking, I think I'm just more brave as a person. I'm just more I will say what I believe, and I'm more, less fearful walking around the world. And I feel like when I interact with people, I'm just more present in the moment. And I do think my speaking skills have gotten better, presentation skills. I have to do quite a bit of presenting for work. So I think that has gotten better. So that's kind of practically speaking. But just as a person, I think I've just become more confident as a person. I'm more willing to stand up for myself, more outspoken. I was outspoken before, but I'm even more outspoken now. Less of a people pleaser too, which is huge for me. I was and still kind of is a huge people pleaser, but getting past that. And I think because the Meisner technique specifically teaches you about being in the present with someone, with a partner, or with people in the scene, it has really grounded me to be more in the present. And I know that sounds so like, woo, be in the present, don't be like in the future. But like truly, I don't think I knew what being in the present meant until I took this class. And where I'm like, when I'm with someone, like I'm with them, not, dreaming of, what I'm gonna eat for dinner, like what are my plans for the next few days. Like I'm there with them. And this class has taught me to just really ground myself and just be there with someone, which sounds so easy to do, but it actually is not. For me at least.
No, I believe that. And I honestly do think all the skills that you've just told me that you've learned from your classes, like you've just applied it in that one
Oh, thank
answer.
you.
Like you're such a great speaker, and I feel like you are just so grounded and just so forward with like you're present, but you're also very forward thinking, and you're staying realistic with your goals and think for the future, which I think is super important. Like I think it's great to be an optimist, but I think at the same
Yes.
time though, you have to keep it real.
Yeah.
You have to keep it real for yourself. and make it realistic, and then make those little goals for yourself, and then just keep shooting to get up to those goals,
Right.
which I think is so crucial.
Right.
So for the long term, what specific jobs do you hope to kind of get out of your like schooling with acting?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the most obvious answer is be an actor. So
Yes.
in both theater and film, I think I would be interested in both. I've had limited exposure to I both honestly, but very like theater. I think I was in a middle school production of Cubicle Junior, for example. Films, I've done a few short films in the past few months, so I actually have more experience with film now. But yeah, so the goal is to be a working actor in either theater or film, or ideally both. But also, I think actors have to be flexible with what they do and what they're willing to do. So, for example, other than acting, I also really want to get into writing, directing, producing. So there's so much that goes behind the scenes when it comes to acting. Like to make a movie happen or a theater production happen, there's a million things that goes behind it. Acting is just the most prominent one that's being seen by the audience and everyone, but there's so much work that goes into it. So I do also want to get involved with other aspects because I think it all ties together. The writer, they have the story for the play or the film, and director is literally directing every aspect of the piece, and the actors are just a part of it. So I do want to find ways to get involved with that whole cycle of making something happen. Otherwise, content creation, something I'm interested in. I have been dabbling in modeling also. So yeah, just basically trying to expand and see what happens and do what I can to monetize, like you said, do what I love while also surviving.
And getting by.
Yes,
Because it's a very expensive city that we live in.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
No, I totally get that. I think that's amazing that you're trying to dabble and trying to see if you how many roles and be kind of like a girl of all trades.
Yes.
And that's really like the perfect example of it. That's amazing. So do you hope to like act first and then kind of get into like the writing, producing, directing, all that stuff down the line too? Or do you hope to kind of like do like acting, but then like also like maybe like shortly after like maybe create like a short film? Like what's the goal maybe with that specifically?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think ideally I would probably do it all at once. I know that sounds so idealistic.
No, I mean you can do it.
But I think it's very possible. I think writing is such an important part of just life in general. I always want to write more, whether it's just to journal and to get my thoughts down, or it's to write a script or a story. So I do think, while I'm pursuing acting, it is very life consuming and I love it so much. I want to, be able to do that, but also dabble into other things and not lose perspective on that as well. So we'll see. I have such limited time, and I recognize that, and it's so hard to balance it all. But ideally, we would just all do it together.
Yeah. Why do you say limited time? I'm curious on that.
Yeah, I have so many moments, I feel like, throughout the week, the month, the days that go by where I'm just like, wow, for a person that has to, maintain all the relationships in your life and have a full-time job and go to class and rehearse and make sure to work out and eat right and, and be social and keep up your mental health and physical, like sometimes I do that mental checklist and then I list everything out. I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, and sleep 8 hours. Like, it seems near impossible, yet somehow like we're all doing it in one way or another. So I think it's about prioritizing what is most important to you and then really carving out that time to dedicate to doing that. So like writing is one that I have not carved out that time for, but I need to. So
we'll get to it too. I thought at first you were referring to like your age, and I was like, "Girl, you have all the time in the world." I was like, I mean, no, you were real about like the one like during the days. Like, during the day, like there is not enough time for anything. That's what I've learned too, especially like this year as I am a transfer student and being in the city. Like everything is on such steroids that you do feel like you genuinely have no time for anything, and it's horrible. It is so bad.
Yes.
But then again, I feel like it's like I think just working on time management is so crucial. And it's hard to do, but who says we can't do that? We totally can do it.
Right.
I genuinely believe it. But no, I love what you've been saying so far, like about like your acting background and wanting to direct and write and produce and do everything, but yet still also model and work and have your corporate job. Like, girl, like you absolutely can. You can. And do content creating too.
Yes.
Now, specifically with content creating, because content creating is just so huge nowadays. What specifically do you do for content creation? And like, how do you think you stand out compared to like other content creators on social media?
Yeah, I need to do way more. I think that is the one thing. I've done a few videos that are more so for brands. So, for example, going to a brand and getting some stuff from them and then showcasing it for free. And I know there's a lot of monetization opportunities that come out of that. Free publicity for brands, and then eventually you get brand partnerships, and that's where you get paid quite a lot if you have the influence to do that. So that's something that I've dabbled in. I've made a few social vertical films too that are on Instagram. They're Instagram reels. They're different type of content rather than just me filming and talking to a camera. It's like a little story that's in vertical form rather than horizontal short film style. But yeah, I'm just hoping to like create content that just showcases what I care about and who I am. I think that's the easiest way to create content and the most sustainable way. If you're talking about something that you have no passion in and you're just faking it, I think it's very easy to burn out. So I'm still trying to find my way through that and just post a lot, embrace the cringe that might come with content creation sometimes, and see what happens. Because I think that's where the magic really happens, when you feel so passionate about something, you share it with everyone. That's what gains traction. People see your passion and you're not faking it. And that ultimately, that's what succeeds for a lot of creators.
Yeah, I agree. I think just being your genuine self.
Yeah.
And then sharing things that are different compared to like what every other person is saying. Like,
right.
And then putting your own spin on things. Because we're all so different and we all have so much that we could bring to the table.
Right.
So just being like your unique self is so important. And I feel like you definitely could bring that, girl.
Yeah,
like we
thank
know
you.
you could kill it on social media. Like the TikTok dolls and the Instagram dolls would hate to see you coming because they're like, oh my god, London. Like we love her. So to find your social media content, your handles, what's like do you have like TikTok or Instagram? Like how can people find you?
Yeah, I'm mostly on Instagram right now. I'm trying to limit my TikTok intake.
Fair.
Because I was addicted, especially over COVID. That was bad. So
Fair.
Limited TikTok. I have an account, but it's not very active, and I'm trying to stay off of it. But I do have an Instagram, and it's kind of a blend of my two worlds right now. My handle is at london.aleesha. So London for the people that like know me by my stage name, but Aleesha because I still have a lot of people in my personal life that is like, who is London? So I'm trying to blend and bridge those worlds together right now.
I gotcha. And then regarding the name London, how did you come up with the name?
Yes, thank you for asking. I love talking about this.
Yes.
So my full stage name is London Long, or if you were saying it kind of in Chinese, it would be London Long. And the way that it came about, so the last name, I'll start with the last name, which is Long. In Chinese, that means dragon. And Long is the name of it's my mom's last name. And it's like that side of the family that I grew up really close to. And I consider them like, some of the most important people in my life. And my last name is Ye, which is my dad's side of the family. So I really wanted to adopt my mom's family side of the family as my last name for my stage name, so Long. And then the next part was basically figuring out what first name sounds good with Long or Long. Kind of like I was trying to piece it together, like, Aleesha, maybe I could do Leash or Aleesha, like an LL situation, like Lucy Liu iconic. And then I settled on London because I grew up watching The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, or Sweet Life on Deck.
Mm-hmm.
And the iconic character, London Tipton, is played by the amazing Brenda Song. And I remember watching her as a child and just being like, oh my gosh, like she's so amazing. Like she's defying all of the Asian American stereotypes as well. Like she's this dumb Asian with a really smart blonde, just like blew my mind as like, an 8-year-old. And I was like, you know what? London Long sounds amazing. So I'm just going to adopt London. So that's how it came to be.
I see. No, I love that. And regarding what you were just mentioning about like Asian American stereotypes, what have you noticed regarding the stereotypes? And have you felt like you've kind of like growing up, you felt like you've been like kind of put in a box and characterized based off of those stereotypes?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's gotten better. I think there's always work to be done moving forward. There has been a lot more, Asian representation in the media that's not stereotyped. But growing up, I just remember watching a lot of shows that would, the Asian girl in a TV series would be like the nerdy girl or the one that's like really good at math and like, the sidekick to the main character who would be, blonde and beautiful and the popular girl, and she would be like supporting her story instead of having her own story. And so I thought, that's the only roles for us out there. And I kind of felt discouraged because there also just weren't that many Asian Americans on TV or in theater, period.
Right.
That's why honestly it took me so long to have the courage to even start this journey, because I just felt like there wasn't a place, which should never be a reason for you to not start something. I'm just saying.
Clock that. No,
But
do not let anything stop you regarding following your talents and following your
100%.
dreams.
Yes.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
No, exactly. But no, I think it's true. I always feel like every time I've like watched like any form of like media, like Asian Americans have always just been like there's a lack of representation, and the representation you get, it's like literally just like yeah, like the girl who's smart and is really good at math and science and yeah, kind of has this like nerdy
Yeah.
like look and vibe to her. And yeah, like she's just like in the shadows compared to like all the other like characters or like
Right.
the protagonist.
Right.
So it really does like, and I can't believe it's been that way for so long. And it's just so many different groups, ethnic groups, and just like groups in general that just get so misrepresented.
Right.
How do you think down the line that will change? And what are things that we can do regarding media and beyond to help kind of like jumpstart that and get that changed?
Yeah, definitely. I think there is so much more to be done, and we're moving in the right direction. But I do think there are writers out there who are writing these stories, and directors and producers, all of that. I think these stories should be written, without a certain type of image they want to cast, if that makes sense. So oftentimes you'll write a writer will write something and they'll already have an image of like, oh, only white women can play this, or only a white man can play this. But I urge that, casting directors or writers, when they're looking at a script, think like anyone of any ethnicity, of any background can play this character, unless they're obviously like from a certain, like, from if they're from China, they should probably be Chinese, unless there's that. But I would just urge people to keep an open mind when writing, and just like see people of all backgrounds and all different types of roles moving forward. And I think specifically with Asian Americans, this is interesting. I've been listening to some talks about this, but a lot of the roles out there for us are very much rooted in the countries that we're from. So, for example, it would be, if I were to be cast in a story, it will probably be me as a girl who was born in China, who was dealing with her, Chinese immigrant identity, etc. But like, there could also be a role where, I was just, born in America and just grew up as like an American girl living here, and without having to attach the background to it, if that makes sense. So I think there has been a lot of, in Hollywood, a lot of Asian American current actors kind of urging for that, of like, we love to tell our stories. Of course we do, with our backgrounds and our families and where our grandparents came from. Like, that is something that I want to tell in the future too. But also, sometimes we could just be cast as the love interest of someone that doesn't have to be tied to like this huge like immigration background story or anything like that. So, and that applies to, everyone of all backgrounds, not just even Asian Americans.
I just hope that down the line we'll just have better representation, and there's not just such like strict stereotypes that just put like anybody in a box.
Right.
Like everyone should be able to like be the same and not have it to do anything with like your identity.
Right.
Regarding race or sexuality or gender orientation or literally beyond. Like I think it's like ridiculous.
Right.
Like or just even like religion. And it's just like I just can't stand it. I think it's so stupid. Like I really do. Like I think it's like we need to grow and progress globally, and I think that like down the line we need to minimize that
Right.
to the maximum. But anyway, I would love to switch more on to your corporate role.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that and how you are now working in Girl Scouts and you're able to work on consulting, strategic planning, and how did you get involved with this like strategic work?
Yeah, of course. So after college, I was kind of recruiting for a bunch of roles. Most of my friends were going into either tech, banking, general finance, consulting. A few people were applying to med school, grad schools, but most of my friends, I think, were going down those paths. So I was like, you know what? I'll do consulting. So I kind of fell into it. And also, I think I didn't really know what I wanted to do at that point in time. The acting seed was probably like deep, deep, deep in there. But I was very much like, I don't really know what I want to do. And the advice I was given at that time is, if you don't know what you want to do, go into consulting. Because in consulting, you're exposed to so many different industries and clients, and but you're building the skills that you would need to, go to the industry that you want, maybe after consulting. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to know what I want to do. I don't know what industry I want to be in. So let me go into consulting and be exposed to all of these different industries. So that's kind of how I fell into consulting. And the firm I joined was specifically for strategy consulting. There's a ton of different film, like management and all of that, but I just recruited, and that's kind of the one that I got an offer from, and they accepted me. So yeah, so then I did that for a few years, and consulting is intense. It is very, very intense work hour wise. You learn a lot very, very quickly. So if you are interested in business and you know that, I would encourage you to go into consulting, and it kind of fast tracks your career a bit because it's so intense. But then, yeah, after a few years, I kind of just burned out and then kind of realized, and the acting dream was kind of like festering, getting stronger and stronger each year. So I know I needed to take a back seat on my corporate job, find a job that had more work-life balance, something that I was more maybe a bit more, at least a bit more passionate about, and then on the side pursue this dream that I have. And then so after consulting is how I kind of recruited for the role at Girl Scouts now, which is related to strategy. And the work-life balance has been life-changing, and it's allowing me to, pursue my passion. So no complaints.
I love that. No, that's tea.
Yeah.
So how has it been working at Girl Scouts? And how long have you been doing it? And like what specific like tasks and things have you been doing related to Girl Scouts?
Yeah. So my official title at Girl Scouts is Manager of Strategy and Planning.
Okay.
So I've been there for almost 2 years, which is crazy. Time flies. But no, it's been great. I mean, the work-life balance has been absolutely amazing. I think people there are very good about protecting their work-life balance. 9 a.m. you log on, 5 p.m. everyone's pretty much offline. So that's been absolutely life-changing, and it's allowed me to really pursue acting and everything that I do on the side. But yeah, it's been wonderful. A lot of the things that I do relates to building our strategic plan. So let's say, over the next 5 years, what do we as an organization want to achieve in terms of how many members do we want to reach? We also have BIRJ goals that we want to hit, our key performance indicators. What measurements do we want to hit at the end of those 5 years? And what are the initiatives that will support us in doing that? And my team is responsible for kind of corralling all of those together and laying it out in a plan that makes sense, and then having the entire Girl Scout movement kind of follow that plan and implement. And the goal always with Girl Scouts is to get more girls into our organization and have them have a good experience and be a part of the awesome programming that we offer. So yeah, it's been cool seeing all of that come together. And also the organization is just such a good organization. It's so much more mission driven, and I feel like I am doing something for good. So it does just feel better to be a part of.
I bet. So how do you guys get girls involved with Girl Scouts? Like how do you guys try to kind of like market Girl Scouts in a way that girls should join it?
Yeah, so I work for headquarters, which is headquartered here in New York, but we have 111 councils across the entire country. And if you're not familiar, so we'll have, for example, Girl Scouts of Greater New York. Here in New York, we'll have Girl Scouts of Michiana, which will cover parts of Michigan and Indiana. Girl Scouts of LA, for example. So we have those councils kind of covering those regions. So we work very closely with those councils to market and kind of get girls to join a council. And that's how you become a part of Girl Scouts. And yeah, I think we've been doing a lot of work on messaging of why girls should join our program. I think, there is always work to be done on empowering women. I know we've come a far way for the last 100 years or so, but I think there's always work to be done in having girls be a part of a safe space where they can fully be themselves and build that sisterhood. And I think we've been really trying to kind of hammer in that message and continue to build our movement. So yeah.
No, I love that. I think that's great. I think that, I mean, I grew up going to Girl Scouts and I went to Girl Scout camp. I was in, troop in elementary school. I wish, part of me wishes that I continued on with it before I graduated high school. I do think like it's such a that's probably like one of my biggest regrets. I think actually is not continuing on with Girl Scouts and not taking it as seriously as I probably should have. But I think it's great to see like so many people that are involved with it, especially because you work like corporately for it. And just seeing like how people like have been a part of it beyond. And were you involved with Girl Scouts when you were younger, or
I
is it
wish.
just like
I really wanted to. And it was interesting because I think my mom was unfamiliar with Girl Scouts. And that's why she didn't really, advocate for me to join. But I would see all the like outfits and uniforms, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like I want to join. But my mom didn't know about, as part of the immigrant community, she didn't know about Girl Scouts. So part of it is trying to how do we reach more audiences like that throughout the US.
And do you think Girl Scouts, would you guys want to expand more internationally? I don't know how it is specifically internationally with Girl Scouts, or would that be like more of the plan down the line? I feel like I'm kind of ignorant regarding this like specific sector, but I was curious, like, has it been good like internationally, or do you guys want to expand more internationally?
Yeah, no,
Like,
that's a great question. I think we have international presence already, actually, and there is actually an international organization that Girl Scouts is under the umbrella of. Technically, I forget what it stands for, but it's like WAGGG. It stands for World Association of, I think, Girl Guides or something like that. I should probably know this, but in Europe they have Girl Guides, and then in the US we have Girl Scouts, and those are separate organizations, but I think they offer kind of the similar programming. So we do have some European presence, but I know for a fact that we have some programming for girls that are in military families that are living on military bases. So I think in Japan, for example, we have some Girl Scouts there. It is part of our strategy to have these international presence, especially for military families. So yeah, they're very much part of, even we're called GSUSA, but they still are very much a part of us.
oh, I love that. No, that's so cool. And would you want to collaborate with like Girl Guides and like that organization with Girl Scouts, or do you think like both organizations are just better off like being more separate, or because they're kind of like competitors in a way? Like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I honestly I feel like that's a question for like the leaders of both organizations. I
Yes.
think they're pretty separate. I think historically they've probably just grown to be separate organizations. I personally don't know Girl Guides that well. I'm sure there's always benefit to learning from each other and learning from your competitors. So
Because I was
yeah,
thinking, like, what
TBD.
if there'd like be ways that you could like collaborate together
Yeah,
on like,
yeah,
especially because it's like to make it like internationally based and like make it more like unity based for all girls and all
right.
women around the world. How could we like bring everybody together in a
Yeah,
sense? As it's like
yeah.
obviously, it's not like a specific like corporate organization, but if it's like, it's an organization that goes back to giving towards women,
Mhm.
how could we collaborate together and like be take initiative on projects
Mhm.
to help women,
Yeah,
I think like and girls all around the world. Like, I feel like that's always like,
always a
I don't know,
benefit.
always a benefit, right?
Yeah.
Like we got to do that for real. And how do you think Girl Scouts really separate? Obviously, other than the fact that Boy Scouts is Boy Scouts,
Mhm.
it's very different in that regard, just by gender.
Yes.
But how do you think Girl Scouts really separate itself from Boy Scouts? If you know,
Yeah. So Boy Scouts actually rebranded themselves as Scouting America.
I think I
And yes,
remember hearing
yes, you
about
probably
that.
read about this
Yes,
somewhere, and they're accepting girls
love
now
that.
too. So the difference, I think, is just Girl Scouts. I think we pride ourselves on providing a safe space that are just for girls, just because obviously there are women, like we've made so much progress in this world over the past the decades or so, but I think there's always more to be done. And I think Girl Scouts wants to continue advancing that message still to this day. And I think there are still spaces where women might not feel completely comfortable in, right? And I think Girl Scouts continues to kind of hold that space for that. Sisterhood is just something that is so precious and unique. And I think the goal of it is to continue to be able to provide that space for young girls and provide that safe environment as they grow up.
So, how has your background in cognitive science and public affairs shaped the way that you have approached business problems regarding your position that you have now in Girl Scouts?
Yeah, I think they're so different. I think with public policy, the one thing that was good is with that major, I think the reason why I even majored in that in the first place was one, because I thought I wanted to go to law school. No longer want to go to law school, if that wasn't obvious.
Fair.
And then two, I think that major also allowed me to take a bunch of classes in a bunch of different topic areas, which I loved. And part of it was policy, right? But I think I did like health policy as well as like language policy. Like I did so many different policy classes, but I think that helped because I felt like I could adapt and learn new things very fast and kind of adapt my brain to pick up new information in all different topic areas. And I think that helped me in consulting in the first place, just because every project is a new project, it's a new client. I would have to learn about some super niche industry, from like, how to repair roofs to like how to go to a car dealership and learn about their pricing model, like just like so many different things. And I think majoring in something that was so broad actually helped in my career of just like being able to pick things up really quickly. And I think with Girl Scouts it's the same. My team is very cross functional in that we work with all the teams, pretty much all the teams at GSUSA, and being able to learn about their initiatives and what their team is doing, and being able to just have that like cross-functional lens has been a skill that I've been building ever since college.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's just so great, like all these like lessons with like working and like collaborating with so many other people has allowed you to really like work on like your skills of strategizing and making Girl Scouts the best that it can be regarding its organization and strategy of how to best operate and manage Girl Scouts. I think that's
Right.
fantastic. And what is like the biggest like lesson that you learned about like consulting that taught you about like people and leadership and taking initiative?
Oh my gosh, such a good question.
I know. Stumping you here.
Consulting was just such a crazy time. I mean, I think probably one of the biggest ones is in consulting specifically is be the leader that you would, I would say, is to try to accept, like from the perspective of someone who's pretty junior in consulting. I think it's to try and emulate the leaders whose roles that you would want to step into and whose leadership that you would want to step into, and find ways to work with them and learn from them. And I say that because I think in consulting, the job is so stressful, but I think it's the people that make it in consulting and stay are the people who manage it really, really well. There are people who don't manage it well and still make it, but you see and feel the stress just like emanating like through their bones, and it just becomes really unhealthy for them. So I remember in consulting there were certain, associate partners and managers who managed their lives so well, and I just like could not understand how they did it. But they managed to, excel at the job, first of all, be amazing at the job and have amazing client relationships, but yet, their work-life balance was so good and so strong, and they were always present with their families, and they would always, make time to pick up their kids from or go to the kids soccer game. Like they balance it so well. So I would say, like in consulting, that those are the people you want to emulate, right? Those are the people that you want to find and get advice from them and make them your mentors, because you want to be them, right? So like, don't get me wrong, you might have to work with a stressed out manager at one point or another, but like become close with the people whose roles you want to step into at the end of the day.
No, I love that. I think that's really good advice. I really do, and I'm sure you can apply that to Girl Scouts as well. I'm sure in that instance as well. And I think it just you're wise beyond your years, and it shows that like everything that you're learning from this experience is like, and from consulting, because now you make me want to go into consulting.
Oh, yeah.
Like post grad, I'm like maybe I should at this
Talk
point.
to me
like,
first before you go.
I will. We will stay in touch. And I meant to ask earlier about consulting. What was like a specific like sector that you were working in, like consulting, that you really enjoyed? Because I remember you saying in the beginning that you really liked working with, like, the beauty of it is that if you don't know what to do, it's great because you can like go into like so many different industries.
Right.
So what specific like kind of consulting like did you do, and like that you really were like vibing with that, like that specific industry?
Yeah, definitely. I loved anything that was consumer facing. So I specifically, my firm, that sector was the kind of retail, luxury goods, consumer goods sector. So for example, I remember working for a big hotel chain brand that was, very reputable in the US. Or once I think I worked with like a wine and food brand, which was really, really fun too. So I think those were the ones that I was mostly interested in. The other industries were, you learn more from them. Like I said, I never thought I would learn so much about, what it takes to repair a roof or a garage door, for example. Those industries were like fun in that you're always learning something new, but it's a bit like niche and complex. And some people love that. I was more of a consumer girly.
I love that. Gotta touch with those consumers. Like touch base with them. They help to really carry the retail formation of all these different brands. And I think that's always so important. So walk us through what a day-to-day corporate life looks like with your consulting job, with what you've done for corporate now for Girl Scouts, and also including the acting aspect of it as well.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll start with consulting. The day was definitely much longer. The typical day, let's say, so I worked in office 3 days a week when I was in consulting, and I would wake up maybe around 7:30, 8 a.m. to get ready for work. And then I would go to work, which was a very short walk from my apartment, blessed. And then we would have typically a morning, what we call a stand-up meeting call, where we kind of just debrief with our internal team on what we need to get done for the day, what is on our agenda, what do we need to hit. And then my day would be filled with a ton of calls, back to back to back calls. And then whether that's calls with my own team, with my senior team, the clients, or with interviewing people to get primary research, tons of calls, which was a lot and can be very draining at times if you're not a call person. Yeah, and then I'll spend a bunch of time doing slides, making slides. If you want to learn how to make nice PowerPoint slides, you go to consult. You will make the best slides anyone has ever seen. And yeah, that's pretty much what I spend the day doing. And typically with consulting, I'll log off on a regular day, maybe around like 7 or 8 p.m. It honestly varies so much. I would say throughout the week, on Fridays, it's probably typically like a 9 to 5, 9 to 6. But on some days, it could be like 9 to 10, 9 to 11, or on some days, 9 to 6. Like it really just varies. But I would say maybe on average, 8 p.m. is a pretty good log off time. And then after that, if I have time, I might squeeze in a workout. Most of the time, I did not have the time. And then dinner, shower, sleep, etc. Repeat. Yeah, and then now with Girl Scouts and acting, I work fully remote now, so I'm working from home. And I would wake up around 8 a.m. again, get ready for the day. 9 a.m. I would lock on in my little home bedroom work setup, and a lot more internal work rather than calls with people, which I kind of love. I love a balance of both. I'll work, I'll take a lunch break. Sometimes I'll go out for a little walk. I live pretty close to Central Park, so I might go and just get a breath of fresh air. And then I'll log off around 5, pretty much every day, which has been really, really nice, very predictable. And then on an acting class day at 5, I'll start packing up for my acting classes. I have like a giant bag of stuff that I have to bring to classes every time I have class. It's like a bag full of props and things that I just need for class. So you'll see me hauling that. And then I'll leave for class around 5:45. Takes about an hour-ish to get to class from where I live to super deep Brooklyn. Yeah. So I'll take my bag and I'll probably get there around 6:40-ish. And then I'll have 20 minutes to warm up. It's very important as an actor to warm up and be ready for class. And then class will start from 7:30. And then, yeah, after 9:30, I'll go home, maybe eat a snack, and then go to bed.
I love that. That's iconic. And then, so regarding your two sides to yourself, because I know obviously your regular name is Aleesha, and then your other name that you identify in your acting career is London. How do you navigate this duality and this like alter ego self? I'm curious.
Yeah, of course. It's so funny because alter ego is a great way to describe it, but it like often doesn't feel that way because it's like I do just feel like the same person. Like I know I'm putting two names to two different sides of me, but like, even if I'm, Aleesha is known by my college friends, my family still very much calls me Aleesha. But when I'm introducing myself to a group of actors or directors at a networking event, I'll be London, or at modeling with a photographer, I'll also be London. But I'm not really actively changing my personality based on just what my name is. So that's why, like, I think London and Aleesha have the same personality, right? Like, I'm not suddenly like, oh, I'm London, I'm a chill girl, I'm so cool, like serious actor vibes. Like, none of that. But yeah, I think when I'm working, I like, when I'm doing a scene, for example, when I'm actually shooting something, when I'm locked in with my partner, that is London doing the work. You can see that, there's a shift in my demeanor to really get into my character and to really get into the scene. And that's the work that London does, right? But that's not to say, Aleesha does not appear in that work. We're acting. You as a person will always appear in your work. So yeah, I'd say it's funny because they are my alter egos, but I think they blend together a lot more than you think they do. And yeah, and I kind of love it. I don't want to fake who I am ever. So and it's fun. It's fun having two different names sometimes to go by. And yeah, and I loved coming up with London Long, so keeping it.
I love it. No, I think it's an iconic name. I
Thank
really
you.
do. I'm a huge fan of your name, and I feel like yeah, you're still the same. Like no matter like it's not like your personality is changing. Like you're still the same no matter what,
Right.
and you're not like the serious self. Like you're not very different. Like when you're one like when you're in your acting energy versus like in your, you know, regular everyday energy, like you're still the same person and you can still embody as the same person. And I
Right.
think that's fantastic.
Right.
And regarding where you are now, how do you see yourself like 5 years down the line?
Yeah. 5 years down the line, yeah, I need to take time to just like write down the things that I want to accomplish in 5 years. It's not very long from now. I guess the goal, and I think the goal for anyone who's an artist, is to be able to do full time what you love and be able to support yourself from doing that. So I think that would be my goal. While, corporate has served me well, I think the ideal for me is to be able to do all the things that I've talked about, like acting and writing, directing, modeling, content creation, and have all of that support me financially full time. So I think that would be so ideal. And I would love to just kind of embrace that freelancer lifestyle that has actually honestly scared me for a long time. But now I just want to do it and embrace it and see what happens. I love managing my own time. So in 5 years, yeah, I would love to see myself actively, working actor, starring, have an agent, manager, and be actively auditioning for big movies and TV series, plays, musicals, and hopefully have some of those credits under my belt. That would be great. I would have loved to have a few short films that are written, directed, and starred in by me. I would love to have done a few plays too in theater, plays and musicals. I'm starring in it with my friends and other amazing talented actors. And yeah, have a few short stories that are written by me as well. And hopefully have, an agent for modeling as well and be actively doing some modeling work and have a good number of followers as well to do that content creation side of things. So kind of, bolstering basically everything that I love doing. Just everything that I'm doing now, but like amplified by like 20.
Love that.
So that is, yeah, 5 years is not that far away, even if it kind of sounds like it is, but it really isn't. And I'm just gonna keep pushing and seeing how far I can get.
Yeah, get to work, girl.
I know,
Get to
actually, I
work.
actually gonna get to work like yesterday.
Oh, me too. We're getting to work right now as we speak. And that is what we are going to be getting there for sure. And so to end off the pod, I always love to ask this question to all of the interns and associates, for the interns and associates, and for the guests that come onto the podcast. If you can give one or multiple pieces of advice, that is totally up to you. If you can give any advice to the interns and associates, what advice can you give?
Oh, yeah. I think this is one that it's been kind of a theme, I feel like, throughout this conversation and has been maybe in the subtext of what I've been talking about this whole time, especially juggling, going from full corporate to now corporate and art. Yeah, I would say it's to definitely just have the courage, the bravery to go do what you love and not what other people to expect you to do. Yeah, do what you love, not what you think people will love seeing you do. So yeah, just have that courage, have the bravery, and dive in. And don't be scared or nervous of failure, because failure is how you grow. Every time that you grow is from something that has happened to you in the past that you probably felt uncomfortable or from falling flat on your face. So just, do it and put your whole heart into it, and trust me, beautiful things will come of it. Maybe it's not the thing that you imagine it would be, but something else amazing will come from it. So just have such a big heart and so much courage to fully run after it. And it's never too late. It really isn't too late. I wish I could say, 10 years ago, Aleesha was ready to be that brave to dive into her dreams, but she wasn't, and that's okay. Now I'm doing it and it still feels amazing. So just do what you love and follow your dreams, as cheesy as that sounds.
We love that. And that is very well said in that regard. Well, interns and associates, this concludes this episode of the Cubicle Podcast with me and Aleesha, our queen, also known as London Long. And we hope you guys enjoyed and you learned all about her background with consulting, also working a corporate job and managing that, with also wanting to be also creative and also wants to be a full-time actress down the line, living it up in the city and making that her career and being represented. And we also hope that you just enjoyed all the tips and advice that you learned in this episode. And thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for the next one where all is said. Thank you. Bye, guys.